Let's talk about your engagement. Let's talk about that.
My engagement?
I'm very, very into it. I think it's great. You're getting married.
It's pretty awesome.
And I have a new relationship myself. So love is in the air.
Yeah.
And how was that? How
is it? Is love in the air?
Well, we were actually talking about.
You're gonna meet somebody.
I'm kidding.
I'm always trying to set Mike up.
You gotta widen the net. You can't just listen. I'm Jewish, so I can say this. You can't just go for Jews. There's not enough of them. You gotta widen the net. There's a lot of people out there. I know you want to marry a Jewish girl, but you know, don't you think, Matt? Don't you think
I agree. But I'm always setting Mike up with great Jewish girls.
On Sunday, I got lunch with Jess and her friends, and I posted a Instagram story of like all of us getting pizza.
Yeah,
and it's like Jess and two Gentile girls who don't look Jewish at all, and I got a DM from one of my old college friends who's very Jewish, and he goes, "Don't fall into the shiksa trap of LA. You have to meet a Jewish girl." Just like you can't escape it. I'm just like, I know they're just friends. It's fine.
I mean, I get it. It's nice.
Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack. Love is in the air. Matt's getting engaged.
I am engaged.
Or Matt's getting married. Matt's getting married.
And I'm getting married. What's great so far in the process of like having now been engaged and, setting the date, figuring out where you want to get married is that Patricia has had like her venue and like the church planned since she was like a kid. So that's easy. All we had to do was lock in a date. We took our pictures. That's done.
Great.
Now it's just making the list and agreeing on who's coming. Which ones are your friends? Which ones are her friends? Which ones are y'all's friends, like as a group, or which family members are coming? And then you're also like getting into, you got to have some conversations with your parents, being like, because you got to let your parents invite their own people to the wedding.
My first wedding, there was 100 people there I didn't know. That was just parents' friends. Yeah.
But then you're kind of like, well, then who have these people been? Where have these people been my entire life?
Yeah.
If you're meeting someone at your own wedding, that's probably a little strange, right?
Yes.
Unless they're from the bride's side and genuinely you don't know them, but
I'm saying if the couple is meeting someone for the first time, that's a little nuts.
I think that's strange.
Most of what I went through was like my ex-wife's father's friends who he like did business with. He like insisted that they all be invited, which is fine, and he paid for it. But
guess how many groomsmen this guy's gonna have?
How many?
Is it 11, 12?
What?
It started at 14.
Hey, I have to balance out the bridesmaids.
It started at 14, Jason. 14 groomsmen and brides are going to... It's going to be a Wu-Tang Clan concert.
I've never heard of
two.
I've never heard of that many.
The max amount, but it's like... But I've gone to weddings where there have been like 14. Sometimes I do think, I was originally supposed to propose in September.
Oh. And what happened?
The day I got it, I genuinely think you may have caused my appendicitis, or you had something to do with it, Jason.
100%.
Me? Yes. You surprised me. So for the people who don't know, I proposed to Patricia on October 13th. Yes, October 13th. But I was supposed to propose in September, mid-September. But I got appendicitis. But the day I got appendicitis was the day I was going to the Emmys, and I was so excited. But Jason had a surprise for me. He was recording a podcast episode. Jason surprised me with Pete Holmes, who's one of my my favorite podcast comedian personalities.
Sure.
I listen to.
So talented.
And I had been wanting to meet this guy for forever. But Jason blindfolded me that day. I was already stressed about proposing to my girlfriend that week.
Shoot.
That week he was supposed to do it, 3 days later.
I was supposed to get on a flight the next day.
You're saying the Pete Holmes surprise gave you appendicitis.
Yes, because he was so stressed. He showed up in a tuxedo because he was stressed about arriving to the Emmys on time.
Right.
And arriving to the Emmys on time so you can go to the after party on. It was a whole domino effect.
So after the after party, you were going to propose.
No, he was going to fly the next day.
I was going to fly the next day, but my family had a flight. They were going to surprise Patricia there after the proposal. Then we were all going to go to the Auburn-Penn State game. My aunt and uncle were coming in, and my brother and his girlfriend were coming in. Jason.
He didn't even know it was a surprise from you. I just told him, you got to show up to my house. I'm going to drive you somewhere that you can't see, and you're going to blindfold and walk in. And he didn't know it was you until we walked into the room. So for about an hour and a half, he's just in a tuxedo, sweating, stressing, thinking he's going to miss the Emmys, worried about what the surprise is. What's it going to be? Am I going to get pranked? All this anxiety running through his body. And then it's Pete Holmes, his idol of all times. He has fantasized about meeting Pete Holmes. He's told me he wants to You want to meet him in an organic way, right? You don't want to fanboy.
Yeah, and I think it was also a bit of like the sensory deprivation of like my being. I was blindfolded the longest I've ever been in my entire life. Not to the point where I feel like it was like torture, but like.
But it's a sensory deprivation experience.
And so then going into that room and then just being in immediate like shock, such a whirlwind. I feel like did something inside me.
It's ridiculous.
Trust me, it's like nothing to like. You are not at fault, but it definitely.
He had to leave the Emmys. He was at the Emmys for 30 minutes.
Yeah, then I went to the Emmys, and I remember just getting a terrible tummy ache and being like, I have to go. And
where'd you go?
Well, then
to my house.
I crawled. I was at the Emmys, and I was with Zane, and Zane was in like such a good mood, and I couldn't be in a good mood with him. And you know me, I like to chat. I like to enjoy a scene. Yeah. I couldn't talk to anybody. All I wanted to do was just crawl up and die. I hid behind, and I started sweating really, really bad. And then I called you, and I said, I'm getting a lift right now. I need to just go to your place because I couldn't go into my house because Zane had the key, and he couldn't give me the key or something. And I went there, and Mike was like, "You're overreacting. It's because you're proposing." Gaslighting.
I just thought he was a little overwhelmed and had some stressful day. I'm not a doctor. I don't know your appendix is exploding. I went on WebMD,
and then we recorded 2 episodes of Good Influences. And the whole time, I'm like, "How?"
You did. The next morning,
we did 2 episodes of Good Influences, and he was wincing the whole time. And then Carly and Aaron, they did a video with him after, and then they took him to the ER.
They're putting you to work. Mm-hmm.
And then they were with him at the ER for like, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours, and then they had to leave. So I showed up to the ER for like another hour. They finally saw Matt. We waited another 2 hours for the scans. It's like 9 p.m, and then the doctors come over and go, "Sir, we're going to have to remove your appendix." And me and Matt were just like, there is no fucking way this is happening right now.
What did you say to the nurses, though, that one time?
She goes...
I remember it hurt so bad because I wanted to laugh so hard.
It was like a young group of doctors. It was like a team of like, young doctors. It was like a girl and 2 guys, whatever. And she said something. She was given the diagnosis. She goes, "Yeah, so the tip is a little bit enlarged." And I go, "Hell yeah, brother, your tip is enlarged." And she laughed at that.
Like, Mike. It was like a very
killing
serious,
it. Getting some laughs.
Serious conversation.
Huh? It was a serious
just to
moment.
clarify, my appendix, though, it didn't rupture. It just became super inflamed, and then I removed it.
I can't wait till Pete Holmes hears the story.
Oh, I know.
That is so funny. I had no idea because he wasn't like. I don't think he's ever surprised anybody. Like that's not his thing.
Yeah.
And then the one person he surprises.
Because also after it, I was so like. I was already in shock. I remember the whole ride back to we were getting dropped off at Lauren DIY's house. I was so just like, oh, I should have said this. Oh, I should have said that. Because it was just, I was in shock the whole time. I couldn't process all the things I really wanted to ask him and talk to him about.
Okay. So I caused that. Cool.
Yeah.
And then, so you have to put it off for 3 months.
1 month.
1 month.
We were talking to the doctors. Like I was trying to negotiate with the doctors. Like, look, he's supposed to be on a flight in like 12 hours. He's going to propose. Can we do this in like 3 days? Can he propose? And I was just like trying to negotiate with them. They were like, you have to cancel this flight. You have to cancel the proposal. You're going under the knife in like 6 hours. And so and Patricia was on her way and she obviously didn't know. So we had to make these phone calls to Matt's family, her parents, and cancel a proposal 12 hours before it's supposed to happen.
But you know what I got to say, Mike, you are such a good friend and
a
great co-host as well. But those are those times where you are so grateful that you have somebody there.
Mike's my emergency contact.
Am I?
Yeah.
I might start.
That's a smart thing. I have a good emergency contact.
Who is your emergency contact?
Mike.
It's me.
Oh, I thought it's like Wyatt. Or
Mike and my ex-wife. Yeah.
Oh,
really?
Really?
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Just to
I'm honored.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I always worry. I still put. Who do you put?
I put my mom, but she's in New Jersey, so she can't really do anything.
Right, that's kind of not a good idea. I feel like as we're adults and we're living far away from our parents, should we?
It's really funny of all celebrities that Pete Holmes did that to you. You know,
I know.
It wasn't Obama.
It
wasn't Justin Bieber.
It was because of how much it was just because of how much I've consumed
Jennifer Lawrence.
his stuff. Yeah, none of that would have done it. It's Pete Holmes.